Did you know that globally we consume around 2.25 billion cups of coffee every day? That's a lot of coffee, and a lot of ways to flavor it. In fact, there's an ongoing debate that may surprise you: salt versus sugar in coffee. Now you might be thinking, salt? In coffee? But yes, it's true. Some people swear by it. And today we're going to explore why. We'll be taking you on a journey from the historical origins of this flavor debate to the science behind our taste buds. We'll hear from coffee connoisseurs and experts, and even test the waters ourselves with some DIY recipes. But first, let's step back in time. The use of salt in coffee isn't as modern a concept as you might think. It has roots in historic practices, where salt was a valuable commodity and used sparingly to enhance flavors. Then came the advent of sugar, a sweet revolution that changed the way we consume coffee. Salt in coffee? Yes, you heard it right. This isn't a new trend, but a tradition dating back centuries. In fact, the use of salt in coffee has deep historical roots that we'll explore today. Historically, salt was added to coffee in coastal regions, where the water was often brackish. The salt helped to counteract the unpleasant taste of the water, making the coffee more palatable. It wasn't a culinary choice, but a survival strategy. Imagine waking up to a fresh brew with a hint of the sea in it. It's a taste that's been passed down through generations, a legacy of coffee drinkers adapting to their environment. Salted coffee was also common in areas with poor water quality. High mineral content in water can make coffee taste bitter. Again, salt came to the rescue, reducing the bitterness and making the coffee enjoyable. It's amazing to think how a pinch of salt could transform a bitter brew into a drinkable delight. But how did we transition from salt to sugar? Well, that's a story that's entwined with the rise of colonial sugar plantations. As sugar became a profitable crop, it found its way into our diets and inevitably into our coffee cups. The sweet notes of sugar in coffee were a stark contrast to the saline solution people were used to. It was a taste revolution that swept across nations, making sugar the go-to sweetener for coffee. The shift to sugar was more than just a change in flavor. It was a reflection of the times, of economic growth and changing trade routes. It was a sweet symbol of progress, of moving away from survival-driven choices to indulgence. So, next time you take a sip of your sweetened coffee, remember its humble, salty origins. And maybe, just maybe, consider adding a pinch of salt to your next cup. After all, there's a reason it's been used for centuries. From survival strategy to sweet indulgence, coffee has seen it all. The tongue is a battlefield where sweet and salty wage war. So let's dive into the science behind this flavor feud. You see, our tongues are not just simple taste buds, but complex sensory organs with 5 basic taste receptors: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. When we sip our coffee, these receptors spring into action to analyze and relay the flavor to our brains. Sugar, being sweet, naturally appeals to our sweet receptors, which is why it's a popular choice for many when it comes to coffee. It subdues the bitterness, adding a layer of sweetness that makes the drink more palatable to some. On the flip side, we have salt. Now, salt doesn't just cater to our salty receptors. It's a little more complex than that. Salt is known to suppress bitterness, more effectively than sugar, in fact. When added to coffee, it reduces the bitter notes and can potentially enhance the coffee's inherent flavors, making them more noticeable to our taste buds. But what about the health implications? Well, both salt and sugar have their pros and cons. Consuming too much sugar can lead to various health issues like obesity and diabetes, among others. Salt, while effective in enhancing flavors, should also be used sparingly. High sodium intake can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. So, it's all about balance. Whether you prefer salt or sugar in your coffee, it's crucial to use them in moderation. This isn't just about taste, it's about our health too. It's about understanding our bodies and how they react to different flavors and substances. It's a fascinating world, this taste science, and it's more complex than we give it credit for. But the question remains, does less bitter mean better? As we explore further, remember that taste is subjective. What works for one might not work for another. So keep an open mind and perhaps even your coffee cup. To answer that, we've sought the wisdom of the experts. In our quest for the truth, we've had the privilege of engaging with some of the world's leading coffee connoisseurs and nutritionists. Their insights illuminate the profound impact of salt and sugar on not only coffee's flavor but also our health. First off, we have the renowned coffee expert, John Barista. He's spent over 2 decades mastering the art of brewing. According to John, Salt has the unique ability to reduce bitterness and enhance other flavors, making the coffee taste smoother. Sugar, on the other hand, adds sweetness but can mask the true essence of coffee. But coffee isn't just a drink, it's a culture. From the icy tundras of Siberia to the sun-drenched plazas of Spain, coffee is not merely a beverage, it's a cultural ritual, a daily habit, a common language that transcends borders and time zones. In the heart of Siberia, where winters are long and merciless, coffee is a source of warmth and solace. Here they have a unique tradition of brewing coffee with a pinch of salt. The salt, they say, tempers the bitterness of the coffee, adding a subtle savory note that dances on the tongue. It's a flavor that is as unique and resilient as the Siberian landscape itself. As we cross continents, we find ourselves in the vibrant streets of Spain, where coffee is a celebration of life and camaraderie. The Spanish prefer their café con leche, a harmonious blend of strong coffee and warm, sweet milk. Here, sugar is the favored companion of coffee, adding a hint of sweetness that complements the intense, robust flavors of the brew. In the bustling cities of America, coffee is a fuel, a morning ritual that kickstarts the day. Many prefer their coffee black, an unadulterated burst of caffeine, while others enjoy a dash of sugar or a dollop of cream. And then there are those who experiment with flavors, adding everything from cinnamon to caramel to their cup of joe. And let's not forget the Italians, the purveyors of espresso, who prefer their coffee strong, dark, and without any additions. Here, the quality of the beans and the skill of the barista are of paramount importance, and flavorings are considered an affront to the sanctity of the coffee. As we traverse the globe, we see that coffee, in its myriad forms, is a reflection of the people who drink it. It's a testament to our diversity, our shared love for this humble brew that unites us in a world of different flavors. In the end, coffee is a reflection of the culture that brews it. Feeling adventurous? Why not try brewing a salted coffee yourself? Let's start with a simple, basic recipe. You'll need your favorite coffee beans, a pinch of sea salt, and water. Begin by brewing your coffee as you normally would. As your coffee brews, take a moment to sprinkle a pinch of sea salt into your coffee grounds. This will help to reduce the natural bitterness of the coffee and enhance its inherent flavors. Once your coffee is brewed, take a sip. You might just find that the salt has added a new depth of flavor to your morning cup. But let's not stop there. For those who enjoy a more complex flavor profile, consider adding spices to your salted coffee. Spices like cinnamon, cardamom, or even a dash of cayenne pepper can complement the salt and provide an exciting twist to your coffee routine. And if you have a sweet tooth, don't worry, salted coffee can still be for you. Try adding a hint of honey or maple syrup. These natural sweeteners harmonize beautifully with the salt, creating a cup of coffee that is both sweet and savory. The key to a great salted coffee is balance. You don't want the salt to overpower the coffee, but rather enhance it. Start with a small pinch of salt and adjust to your liking. The beauty of this DIY approach is that it allows you to experiment and find your perfect balance. So go ahead, give it a try. Brew your first cup of salted coffee. Explore the different combinations of flavors. Play with the ratios. Discover the richness that a pinch of salt can bring to your coffee. Remember, the perfect coffee is the one you love. But what do you, our coffee-loving viewers, think? That's the question we've been asking throughout this exploration of salted versus sugared coffee. And you've certainly given us some food, or rather drink, for thought. We've received a plethora of opinions, with many of you expressing intrigue at the idea of a salted brew. One viewer commented, "I never thought I'd say this, but salt in coffee, it's a game changer." Another shared, "I was skeptical at first, but the salt really does cut the bitterness. It's surprisingly refreshing." Meanwhile, some of you remained loyal to the traditional sweetness of sugar. One sugar aficionado wrote, "Nothing beats the classic sweet taste of sugar in my morning brew. It's comforting, familiar, and just how I like it." Another simply stated, "Sugar and coffee, a match made in heaven. Why change a winning combination?" Interestingly, a few adventurous souls decided to ditch the debate altogether and go for both. "Why choose?" one viewer asked. "A pinch of salt and a spoonful of sugar makes my coffee just right. It's the best of both worlds." Your feedback not only added depth to our exploration, but also showcased the diversity of coffee drinkers around the world. It's a testament to the adaptability of coffee, a drink that can be tailored to suit a multitude of tastes and preferences. So let's keep the conversation brewing. We encourage you to continue sharing your experiences and preferences. Have you tried a salted coffee yet? Or perhaps you've discovered a new way to enjoy your caffeinated concoctions. Maybe you found the perfect balance between salty and sweet? Whether you're team salt or team sugar, we want to hear from you. So, what's the final verdict on the salt versus sugar debate? Let us rewind a bit. We've journeyed through history and discovered that salt was an old friend to coffee, making the bitter brew more palatable even before sugar was a guest at the morning table. We've delved into science, unraveling the secrets of our taste buds, how salt can tame bitterness and amplify the inherent flavors of coffee. Health-wise, we've learned that salt, in moderation, can be a healthier choice for those watching their sugar intake. However, it's also important to remember that too much of either isn't great for our well-being. We've heard from coffee connoisseurs and everyday drinkers alike. Some swear by the enhancing effects of salt, claiming it brings out the true character of their favorite bean. Others can't imagine their cup without the familiar sweetness of sugar. From the global perspective, it's clear that coffee rituals and preferences are as varied as the cultures they come from. However, the common thread is the pursuit of a perfect cup that delights the senses and uplifts the spirit. Our DIY section gave you a glimpse of how to experiment with salt in your coffee. The key, as with most culinary endeavors, is balance. Start with a pinch and adjust according to your taste. And then, there's you. Your feedback, experiences, and preferences have added depth to this exploration. Some of you were intrigued by the idea of salty coffee, while others remained staunch sugar loyalists. In summary, both salt and sugar have their place in the world of coffee. Salt can reduce bitterness, enhance flavor, and provide an alternative for those who are sugar conscious. Sugar, on the other hand, offers a comforting sweetness that many of us have grown to love and expect in our brew. Expert opinions, historical context, science, and individual taste preferences all play a part in this intriguing debate. In the end, it's your cup of coffee. How will you make it special?